In this video, we're going to share a little bit about how to make the most of a career fair. Career fairs can sometimes seem overwhelming and even a little bit frightening. So hopefully these tips will help you make the best of that type of an event. So we're going to start with some initial tips and then share some things about things to do before, during, and after the event to make it a successful one for you. The first thing you want to do is review the list of employers that are attending, primarily to find out if this is an event that's worth your time. You also from there want to prepare a list of questions that you can ask the employers in which you're interested. However, you also want to prepare some answers in case the employers ask you questions too. A career fair isn't a job interview, but it can sometimes feel like a mini interview. So having questions prepared that you can ask the employer, as well as answers in case they ask you questions, is a good way to be successful. Be sure to have a portfolio with you, something like this that can be opened, that has a folder on one side where you can store your resumes, as well as a notebook on the other side so that you can take notes while employers are talking with you. Have plenty of copies of your resume as well. If you think you're wanting to talk to 5 or 6 companies, have at least 10 resumes. If there's a company that you hadn't initially considered that becomes one that's interesting to you, you want to be sure to have enough resumes to share with all of the companies. Assemble your business attire. Most of the time for a career fair, that means a dark or a darker colored professional business suit. Also, it shouldn't have any wrinkles on it. It shouldn't look like it just came up off the floor, and it should fit you well. Update your profile on LinkedIn, on your Handshake at Illinois account, and anywhere else. You also may even want to apply to some of the companies in which you are particularly interested. Often once you get to a career fair, an employer is going to tell you you need to apply online, which can be a little bit discouraging. But if you've already done that for those in which you are really interested, when you walk up to an employer and they tell you you have to apply online, you can actually say, because you're a company in which I'm really interested, I've already done that. So what's the next step? And employers love that initiative. What else can you do before the career fair in order to prepare? You absolutely want to prepare your resume, make sure it's error-free, have it proofed by either the Career Center or someone in my office. Prepare your introductory pitch. If you have an introductory pitch that really sells you, that tells a little bit about you, it makes you feel less stressed when you walk up to an employer to introduce yourself. Also, research the organizations in which you are interested. Here you want to go a little bit more in depth. Figure out what their pain point might be. So that would be something where, why are they here at the fair in the first place? Yes, of course, it's to hire students, but why do they need to hire students? If you can figure out a particular project or an area where you can really fit and share that with an employer, they're going to see you as a great, viable candidate. During the fair, there are also some things that you want to keep in mind. When you introduce yourself to that employer, have your pitch, of course, smile, make good eye contact, then shake hands, and then hand them your resume. That will keep them engaged with the pitch that you're sharing. Again, like I said, be engaged, make good eye contact, smile, and don't fidget. It can be easy to move around when you're in a career fair because you feel uncomfortable, but try to keep yourself firmly planted. Along those same lines, keep your cell phones at home so that they're not a distraction. As an employer is talking, be sure that you're using your folder to listen and to take notes. That's a great place to write down the recruiter's name. Remember it from their name tag. Write down an email address and so forth. Ask for business cards, although many of them won't have business cards to share because they're talking to hundreds of students that day. So at the very least, ask for a contact email address where you can follow up, and that's what you want to do next. Also, make sure that you're making the most of your time while you're at that fair. Don't stand in a really long line unless it's your #1 employer. Don't waste that time. I would also encourage you to maybe start at number 5 or 6 on your list of top companies. Get warmed up a little bit, and then move your way up to your #1 company. So after the fair is done, you may think, hey, everything's done, I don't need to do anything else. But then you would be wrong. You need to follow up with those employers that you met at the fair. Remind them who you are. Again, they've met hundreds of students, so you may need to refer to your conversation or something unique on your resume. And thank them for coming. You have that email address, so express appreciation that they took time a lot of time out of their busy work schedule to come to the fair. If you haven't already applied online, or if a recruiter has asked for additional documents, make sure you apply as appropriate then, once the fair is over. That might mean applying on Handshake, or it might mean applying directly on a company's website. And then finally, follow up regarding the status. So if an employer is doing interviews the very next day after the career fair, as many of them will, they may tell you, hey, we're going to call people tonight, or we're going to send you an email around 7 o'clock. So be sure to check your email or your phone if they've told you that that's the way they're going to follow up. If they don't tell you, be sure to ask. But if they've said, hey, we're going to probably not follow up with people for another 2 weeks, and it's been 2.5 weeks, go ahead and send another email. Express your interest in that position and that company again, and then let them know, hey, I'd love to hear where you're at in the application process. I hope this helps give you a little bit more information about how to be successful at a career fair. You can also obtain additional resources by following us on social media or checking out our website.